Hello, I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking for FinextraTV here at Finextra's inaugural NextGenAI conference here in London. And I'm joined by Prashant Jajodia of IBM, and we're going to be looking at where next with GenAI. Welcome, Prashant.
Hello, Debbie. Delighted to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to have you here. We've got many guests today at NextGenAI. And of course, as the title suggests, Gen AI, where next? But let's first of all start with, what do you think is the status of AI adoption now in the UK?
I think there's a very reasonable adoption in the UK, given that this Gen AI started only 18 months back. We are at roughly 42% adoption of Gen AI worldwide and 37% adoption in UK when it comes to businesses. And when I mean businesses, I mean large enterprises with more than 1,000 people. And this is based on the AI Adoption Index, which IBM publishes every year. If you look more widely, then across all businesses, maybe 1 in 6 businesses have used AI. What we are interested in particularly is financial services. If I look at my clients in banking and insurance, most of my clients are piloting Gen AI use cases. I'll give you 1 or 2 examples. If you look at the banks, we have developed AI virtual agents for 7 of the top 10 banks. Now, these agents handle 30 million calls every year and make our customers' life easier. Another example, for Nationwide Building Society, we have built an AI agent which handles complaints. So it helps humans or colleagues of Nationwide to process complaints much faster and become much more efficient, and therefore respond to complaints quickly for customers.
And that's interesting, Prashant, because you talk about some use cases there where people are seeing tangible value. If I can take a step back, because you mentioned interesting figures. Now, let's see if I was listening well enough. I think you said worldwide about 42%
Yes.
AI adoption in businesses?
In large businesses.
In large businesses, but 30%?
37%. 37%.
In the UK?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to the UK. Where do we go now? How do we get AI deployed so that that becomes a higher percentage with large businesses?
Absolutely. And this is something we think about every day. We have a single focus. How do we help businesses scale the use of AI? And when we talk about scaling the use of AI, then it's about removing the barriers. So there are essentially 3 barriers: trust, data, and skills. So let me start with trust first. Trust is very, very important in business. So businesses want to know how the AI model has been trained on, what has it been trained on. Businesses want to understand how does the AI model come to an inference, what is behind the decision making.
How is it learning?
How is it learning and how is it deciding, right? So, so for that, we need open, trustworthy AI. And this is where IBM has launched its Granite series of models, which are open source models. We indemnify our businesses on these models. We are very clear on how the models have been trained, how does it make decisions, and these are highly trustworthy. So that's statement number 1. Statement number 2, barrier number 2 is data. If you look at data, more than 90% of internet is in the AI foundation models. But if you come to the enterprise data, less than 1% of the enterprise data is in the large language model. So this is where, when you talk about businesses scaling the use of AI, the problem is as simple as how do businesses bring their data into the AI models. And as businesses bring more and more of their data into AI models, then the usage of AI in businesses will scale.
And how do people do that? Because if there's so much legacy data,
Yes.
and you're talking about 1%,
Yes.
how do they choose what data to bring across?
So
Because they can't bring it all, surely.
absolutely. So they have to choose what data to bring across. How do they bring this data? How do they use this data to train the model? Because it's not easy. And this is where IBM, we have been helping businesses in terms of, helping them make those decisions on what to choose. And also we have a tool called Instruct Lab, which allows businesses to easily, train the AI models with their data. So that's the second problem.
What's the third problem?
The third problem is in my mind, the biggest problem of all, which is skills. To use AI, you need skilled people, people who understand AI, people who, people have to be trained on AI. So this is where IBM, our mission is to train more than 2 million people in AI over the next 3 years. We are training, 20 million people in digital skills and 2 million people in AI over the next couple of years.
All right, so we've done three things. We've done trust, data, and skills.
Yes.
Okay. We've been chatting about where we are now, the things we're going to need.
Yeah.
So let's look ahead just purely to 2025. What use cases do you see for AI?
So if I were to look at 2025 and predict where AI would go, I would split it into two categories. One is consumer AI. Consumer AI, which people are more familiar with. This is the ChatGPT. So ChatGPT will come out with a new model, GPT-5. It will be much more powerful. It's expected to be much more powerful. It's expected to have multi-model, which means it can take text, images, graphs, and combine it all to give you some analysis and inference. So that's coming out next year. More in terms of more relevant to individual consumers is the devices. So there will be more and more devices integrated with AI. So for example, Apple has come out with a new version of iPhone with Apple Intelligence. There will be lots of other devices, fridge, television, everything else. Basically what it means is that you and I will be spending more money on refreshing the tech which we have at home. So that's on consumer AI. But when it comes to enterprise AI, I think the trends are slightly different. The trends are more on small language models, more on open source, open models, and the trends are more on trustworthy AI and how do we build trustworthy AI.
And in this prediction, where do you see cross-industry collaboration coming to the fore? Because ultimately, AI isn't just financial services. We're all using AI in our personal lives. Is there going to come a time where there's a lot more collaboration across the different industries?
Absolutely, and it's already happening. And it goes back to my point about open AI. How do we build open AI? That can be only built by having collaboration across industry. IBM, along with Meta, has launched this AI Alliance, which has more than 100 participants. These are startups, these are large companies, governments, universities who have come together to define the standards for open AI. We believe that AI should be for all and not be controlled by a few companies.
And that's a great way to end. AI for all, obviously wrapped up with ethics and regulation and everything else that goes along with it. Prashant, it's been so interesting chatting to you, and especially hearing a lot of these figures as well from your own research. So great speaking to you.
Lovely to speak to you. Thank you for having me, Debbie.